I understand. Well, I thought I'd sit down and talk a little bit about how this all happened. Hopefully I'm not going to be repeating anything I've already said, but so it's a little bit easier for me to think while I'm just sitting here. So this used to be just a plain old shed, and it had no windows in it whatsoever. It didn't have this closet over here that you saw, and it had like a set of the barn doors that you see on sheds. So we took those off, we put in the regular door. This is actually the third door that's been on here. The first one I put on was, well, I didn't do it myself, but I found the door. I liked it because it also had a window, but it wasn't working properly, so we put a regular door without a window. And this time, well, I did it before I renovated just recently. It was we probably put the door on, the new door, the third door on, about 6 months ago or something like that. I had considered painting it, but I like the wood style to go with the other wood furniture in here. And it's probably, well, it's maybe not the original finish on it, but it looks like it might be. So that's just as good. Then we had somebody, when we put the first door in, we had a friend down the street that knew how to put windows in, and he helped put all the windows in, including the one that opens. It's over on that wall, which is nice. I can also open the door and just have the screen on it for air and all that, and just hear you can hear the waterfall noises and everything. So this time I had already kind of decorated, well, I would call it, made it a cottage of my liking in the sense of vintage look, but it was not really done up like I love, and also it really needed painting. Now you can see what it looks like if you look at one of my videos from a few months ago. It says something about my garden and she shed, and so there's footage of the whole thing in that video. I'll try to remember and link that to this video. And I'll also show you a few of the before pictures as we were doing it this time. At the time I thought of redecorating it, I thought, oh, it needs painting. And I hadn't seen my oldest sister I hadn't seen her for probably 6 years at least. 5 or 6 years, and she hadn't been here for 11 years, no, 12 years. She hadn't been to our house for 12 years. We live in different states. So I invited her up and asked her if she'd like to help me on this project. Told her I wanted to redecorate in here, and she was all for it, and it was very nice. She had taken care of my mom, who was bedridden for 8 years and had no way of even coming up here during that time. And I had my own problems. I couldn't go down there either, some health problems at all. So anyway, that worked out well, and she helped me paint in here. We took I think it took a whole day. We took one day to get the paint and then painted, and she was going to help me with the wallpaper, but we didn't get around to it. She was only here a week, but we had a good time. It was fun, and I really appreciated her helping me in this. So the wallpaper idea is something that I came up with, well, quite a while ago. I mean, a number of years ago, I wanted to wallpaper in here on this other wall, and I didn't do it, of course. In the same way, kind of a just tear up wallpaper. I didn't have the wallpaper. Well, this happened to work out really well because I had received a number of wallpaper books from the local paint store, which is where we got the paint for the walls here this time too. And I had access to all this wallpaper samples, all the wallpaper samples I could tear up. And I also used, as you saw, music paper, and then the photos that I added just to the door. And one thing I wanted to say before I go on about that is I'm not very good at taking before pictures of anything. Like I want to show family and friends or something that I decluttered a room or decluttered a closet or something like that. And I always forget to take the before pictures. So there's not a lot of before, but I have a few of them in here, and you saw a little bit of it if you watched my Mysterious Nature Journal video. So that was only about a week ago that I did that video. So all of this has been, well, no, maybe, yeah, about a week ago, because I had already painted, and I put that video right up after I made it, but we had already painted in here, and so that's how it looked, and things were still not put back together, of course, and I didn't have the wallpaper done, so this is all the wallpaper I did myself in about, I think it took 2 days, full days of doing the whole thing, and then the next day I cleaned up the mess and put it all together with the decorating. I had plenty of things to choose from. Most of the things in here, some of the things were in here already, most of them were not, and I just kind of rearranged things, brought some things from my house, and tried to put it together as far as what are the things I like, and I call myself kind of a vintage romantic, I guess, in my decorating. I love to include a lot of vintage things. In fact, I'm not sure what's not, including me, in here, as far as what's vintage. There's some things that are not, and that's always nice. I like to also incorporate things that are not necessarily antique or vintage, so it kind of has a fresh look. But I really gravitate toward pretty things, a lot of lace. I like the lace, the old linens. Some might call it granny chic. I don't know if that's the name I would use for how I decorate, but and what does this have to do with making journals? Because my YouTube channel is primarily showing the journals that I make, and I've been doing that since middle of 2016. And I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I gave them away for a long time. I think I only kept one main one during that time that I decided, after I'd made some and give them away, I excuse me, decided to keep one. So I made it to my liking. And the way that I make journals comes out of my fondness for interior design, and especially vintage, romantic vintage interior design, cottage look, vintage romantic cottage look. It's sort of like that too. And I've changed different things over the years of how I like to design things and decor and all the decor, but really this has become what I enjoy the most. I think I started out in the well, I shouldn't say what years. A long time ago, I started out with a young family. Well, when we had a young family, I started out with the country look. And anybody remember Country Living, Country Home? I guess it's still a magazine, but they've changed a lot. But I just kind of I saw that magazine and I grew interested in that. And that's where I started, and then just kind of went from there. And I never got into the farmhouse look. Maybe there's a few things that might be kind of farmhouse, considered farmhouse in what I put in our home and in this little cottage. Anyway, so back to the journals. I think, well, I'll show you again. I mean, I think I've already shown you of course, this wall, but when you look at this wall, or when I look at it, I think of my journal pages. Now, it's not all floral like that necessarily, but ripped and torn and pretty, and some old photos. I love the 1900s, you know, like Edwardian age and some Victorian, I guess you would say. And so inspiration for my journals pretty much comes from my interest in design and decor, interior design and decor. That's kind of in my head. If you see my house as well, and maybe I'll show you that at some point too, some of those things. And you'll see that if you have seen my journals, that it sort of correlates. So I'm not limited to just journals in my YouTube channel and Instagram. If you followed me on Instagram, you can find me. If you haven't followed me, you can find me on, if you look up Sweetbriar Cottage, you should see Janice_G_journals, and that would be my Instagram. So you can see maybe some reels that you won't see on, and photos that you won't necessarily see on YouTube. So this is getting kind of long, but I thought I would just share a few things from time to time about myself, and if that interests anyone, let me know, because I don't want to be boring people. Not that you have to watch it. If you don't like it, of course, you don't have to watch my videos. So thank you so much for being with me, and I wish we could all just sit down and have a cup of tea together and talk about fun things, because that's the fun thing in life, is friendship and conversation and shared interests. Wouldn't that be fun? Just sit down and share about our how we came about in making journals and different things like that. So okay, until next time, thanks again. Bye bye.